Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you're having an awesome day. I finally got my Buzzsaw. Of course, he comes in with Soundwave and Rumble and Ravage there, but crafty old Hasbro saw it fit to give us Buzzsaw over here. I don't know if you could see him as part of this whole set. Of course, this is Legacy United Soundwave. As I said, he comes with Buzzsaw, different decos for Ravage and Rumble. And of course, this is the legacy packaging. Here on the side, you got the 40 years of Transformers. Here in the back, they show you, 18 steps to get Soundwave into his cassette mode or his boombox mode, whatever you want to call it. You've got Rumble, you've got Ravage, and of course, you got the character that I was mainly looking for, which is Buzzsaw. Again, this is the one way you are going to get this figure with this Soundwave here. So I'm going to open this up, let's go ahead and get going here with Soundwave. Let's start off with the accessories. Right off the bat, these are pretty much the same accessories we got with the Warforce Cybertron / Netflix Soundwave, down to the color. The only minor difference is the legacy version here has this little red stripe on both ends, which the Netflix version does not. But other than that, you get pretty much the same shoulder mounted cannon that you did on the other one, and you get his gun. The other accessory you do get, which is I believe a leftover from the Siege mold, was this gun here, done in a gray plastic. Again, the exact same accessory that came with the Netflix version, I think even the Siege version, but this is just slightly lighter. Again, nothing much there to say. That's it for Soundwave as far as the guns and accessories. For Rumble here, you do get a couple of things, and again, very similar to the Studio Series 86 Rumble. You get a pair of, I guess you can use these as guns. I use these, I know it says back cannons. Again, these are a bit lighter than the ones that came with the standalone Rumble here, but they're pretty much the same. And then of course, you gotta have Rumble, you gotta have his pistons here so you can cause his earthquakes. Again, pretty much the same thing other than the color, right? This is a much deeper purple and darker shade of blue, more toy-like rather than animation. So again, pretty much the same things. So that's it for the accessories. Of course, as far as the main figures itself, other than Soundwave, you do get a Ravage, which this guy is pretty much the same thing that we got in with the Netflix version. And again, here you could see the detail in black, the silver, the Decepticon symbol. The only way you could tell them apart, and actually I have the one we got before here, is if you look at them from this angle, you can't really tell which is which. They're exactly the same pretty much on this angle here, but you can start telling here by the gray that you start seeing on these little circles here. So when you turn them around, you start to notice that the legacy version here is all black. The limbs, the neck are all black plastic, so they match together. Whereas here, the previous Ravage that we got has more gray limbs there, which is, again, I believe more, I want to say this is more cartoon accurate versus this being more toy accurate. But other than that, this is the exact same Ravage that we got before in cassette mode. Then moving on to Rumble here. Again, pretty much the exact same mold, but just a difference there in how the paint was applied, right? The paint deco here. The Studio Series here is more animation accurate, whereas I want to say this is more toy accurate on the right, on the Legacy version. So, it all depends on what you're looking for. Other than that, the figure is the same. The transformation is the same, more of that. And then lastly, here's the main start of the show for me, was trying to get a Buzzsaw here. So this is what we got here, which is pretty much the exact same as the previous laser beak that we got here. The colors are obviously different, but other than that, the You know, the mode's the same, the transformation's the same, and you know, you can see it here, right? So again, nothing much to speak of there other than we now have a Buzzsaw. Now moving on to good old Soundwave here. Again, this is a mold that I believe goes back to Siege. I believe they retooled that Siege version and gave us a Netflix one, which then transformed into a proper tape deck. But you know, again, other than that, you know, I'll show you guys in a second. If you have that Netflix Soundwave, this is pretty much the exact same thing, the same articulation, same transformation, same. If you had any issues with that, you know, Netflix Soundwave, you're probably going to have the same thing here. You can still take some of the weapons here, and you know, of course, gotta have a shoulder mounted gun up here. You can do that with this one, and of course then you could take his gun and pull this out. If I have any fingernails here we go, pull that out, and he can still hold his gun in place. He still looks really cool. Again, a bit disappointing because I wish we would have gotten a true style Studio Series 86 Soundwave. We'll get there in the future. We'll see how that comes out. So yeah, this is the legacy. Again, same articulation, same looks and everything. You still have these two little extra pieces, which from what I recall are leftovers from the Siege mold. They were never taken out of the Netflix one. They're still here, so you can still look to find those. These two pieces really serve no function. I think they act sort of as like a stand from where you have them in tape deck mode. So just to give you guys a bit of a look here, here's the on the left is the Netflix Soundwave. Obviously right off the bat, the main thing that I notice is the coloring around the edge of the tape deck, the clear plastic here. On the Netflix one, this is more of a yellow, a brighter yellow, whereas here you have gold, which actually matches really nicely with the outer accents, which are here. If you notice too, they painted here on the legacy version, they painted the clear plastic on the hinges gold to match the outline, whereas here they're just plain old plastic. The head's the same. As I mentioned to you guys, if you look at the guns, the shoulder mounted guns there, the legacy version has that little red outline versus the Netflix version here does not. And then it's the same case here with the gun. You get a little red outline here, but not here on the Netflix version. The gray plastic on the legacy version is a little lighter. A little lighter shade. I don't know if that'll be the same for everybody's copies, but at least in my legacy Soundwave here, the gray on the feet, on the legs, and the forearms are all a little lighter than what I have on my Netflix version. I think other than that, the gold here on the legs is the same. The blue is for the most part the same. There is some slight differences here in the color of the here they've done a good job, I think, on the legacy version of this blue here matching really well with the rest of the leg, whereas here this is a shade lighter. Moving on down in the back here, you can pretty much see there's really not much difference other than the shades of blues. I think they've done a really good job here, where the blue in this plastic section matches really well with the rest of the leg, versus this is a little lighter on mine. I know I've had this figure for a while, so maybe it's this coloring, who knows. But the back panel here is all the same. Again, as I mentioned, here the Netflix version still has these pieces that the legacy does as well, that all came from the Siege version. Really don't have much use for them. I tucked this gun back here, but you could do the same thing with this gun if you wanted to. You can tuck this in back there and you're done. But I think other than that, that's pretty much all I can spot difference wise. So it kind of makes it a bit of a tough choice. If you have the Netflix version, how bad do you want this? That's what it comes out to. Now I know there are some color differences. One thing that I wish they would have changed is perhaps given us a bit more of the head with the yellow eyes rather than the red ones that we already have, to give it more of a, I guess, a toy look versus the cartoon look. But yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. There's some slight cosmetic differences. Transformation's the same, the mode's the same, you get the exact same accessories, but this time Dave decided to include Buzzsaw. I really wish I would have included this guy separately, but I'll show you the different modes. Here we have Soundwave in his tape deck mode. Again, the legacy version here, the transformation is the exact same as the Netflix one. No difference there. I didn't notice any issues with the mold or anything like that. You still get this nice front end with the little play buttons, a rewind and forward, stop, record. In gray, you got still all this nice gray there. You know, the same details from the chest in the robot version carry over here to the front. And of course, it still pops open with this little eject button. So the front always looked really nice. You can then also take your different cassettes here, like Rumble or Buzzsaw or whoever else, and put them in the chest, and then you can open that, take them out. You can also the Netflix versions also fit in really well. I mean, they should. They're pretty much the exact same mold, so you shouldn't have any issues with fitting things in there. And yeah, so that is the front. The sides, you still get the same coloring here from the legs, nice gray with the gold. In the back is pretty much where this mold kind of comes a little unglued for me. It's just messy. I mean, they did find a way to close up the, you know, the arms here, put them nice together. The weapons, you can choose to put them this way or not. You can take them off of these pegs if you wanted to have a more cleaner look, and put them off to the side if you wanted to. But then you're kind of then left with a bit of a gap here on the sides, so it's a bit unfortunate. This is all stuff that was left over from the Netflix version. And then here's the bottom, a bit unfinished, similarly to the back. Here's the top. So definitely the best thing about this mold was always here. The transformation anyway was always the front, very on point. If you wanted to compare him here to the Netflix version here he is on the left. Again, same you know, colors. I think on mine, as I mentioned, the grays here on the feet and on the waist here on the sides are slightly darker, and I don't know if it may be because I've had my mold, my version of this guy for quite a while now. I don't know if it may be this coloring or whatever, but you guys could see them there together. Again, the fronts are pretty much the same. You still get the same rec battery indicator there that looks pretty cool there with the blue. Again, they both do the exact same thing. Tops are pretty much the same, kind of unfinished looking. Same thing here for the back, and you could do the exact same things here as you could on the legacy version. They're pretty much the exact same thing. And of course, you could then grab some of the legacy cassettes and put them here on the Netflix one, and you should not have any issues, because again, these are pretty much the exact same molds. I think you just have to make sure you put this in the correct way here, and you shouldn't have any issues fitting those in. But there you go. That is the tape deck mode for both of these guys here. So here we are back in their alt modes, or their bot modes, as I want to call them. Let's start off here with Rumble. This is pretty much the exact same as the Studio Series 86 Rumble. Just pretty much the difference there is in the color. You get the same accessories as I showed you guys earlier, and just for comparison's sake, here you go. This is the Studio Series, and here is the Legacy Rumble. Transformation is the same accessories. The cannons here on the back are lighter on the Studio Series versus the Legacy one here. They're actually darker, and in the box they actually show these as like a dark blue or black, so I guess it must have been a color change there. So it's really more of a preference as to what you prefer here. I guess this is more toy in the Legacy versus, again, more cartoon accurate. Both molds pretty much are the same. They still suffer both from the same thing, which is no articulated elbows. So bit of a shame because this is a really good mold, and I think having those articulated elbows would have really taken this mold over the top. So there's your rumble. Next, let's do Ravage here. You guys could see him there. So this is the Legacy Ravage. You could tell by the limbs here and the neck, and this back section is all black versus the Netflix one, which has the gray here on the legs and on the neck. But other than that, they're pretty much the same. Again, transformation's exactly the same. The mold's exactly the same. The cassette mode still has a whole unfinished look on one side. Personally, this is my least favorite version of Ravage. It doesn't look terrible. It's just a little chunky and big. But again, the Legacy version here on the right, it's pretty much the exact same version, other than the little gray color differences on the limbs and the neck here. So that's about it for Ravage. And next, we'll talk about here about Buzzsaw. This is the main star for a lot of people. This is the main reason why I got this guy. So yes, I spent all that money just to get this guy. I really wish Hasbro would have done this separately. Maybe as $9.99 like they did with Rumble and Frenzy, but maybe he was perhaps too small and probably already part of the whole mold for the Netflix Soundwave. So there you go, pretty much the exact same thing as Laserbeak, just the slight different color differences where, this is the mustard yellow color versus on the Netflix Laserbeak here is all red. There are the color differences there on the beak, as you guys could see them. Again, transformation's exactly the same as the exact same mold. The legs are black versus here on the Laserbeak from Netflix, they're gray. You still got that little peg there to attach him to the arms or the shoulder or different sections of Soundwave. But other than that, again, you guys can see him there. Together, it's pretty much the exact same mold. Very happy to now have Buzzsaw here as part of the whole cassette army here for Soundwave. Again, as I mentioned earlier, just a little unfortunate that we had to pay so much to get this guy. It would have been nice if, in addition to Buzzsaw here, we also got Ratbat. But as I understand it, I think Ratbat may be part of a whole different reissue again. But this little figure right here, definitely very happy with it. And to give you guys a bit of a comparison here, both of them together with their cassettes in their alt modes. Again, not much difference other than the color, and of course the fact that we now get Buzzsaw here with the Legacy Soundwave. Again, it'll be a bit more of a preference as to which one you like. I know the Netflix version, I believe it's a little hard to get and quite expensive on the aftermarket if you decide to go that route. So on one end, I am very glad that they did reissue this guy, because now folks will be able to get theirs without having to pay some crazy aftermarket price. So from that end, it's really nice. It's also nice that you do get a Buzzsaw there as well. But I wish, again, as I said earlier, they would have included additional things like Ratbat. Again, you are paying like full price for this whole figure. If you're like me and you already have this, you probably don't need to get it. I'm a completist, so I just definitely had to have Buzzsaw there, but you guys can see them there together. So let's go ahead and get started with the comparisons here. We have the Netflix version here on the left and the new Legacy version Soundwave here on the right, and here is the Siege Soundwave, so you guys could get a good idea of the differences and similarities. As I mentioned earlier, these two guys are based off of this mold. This guy doesn't have an official tape deck mode. He transforms into some weird looking spaceship. But you can see a lot of the things they carried over, right? So for example, the gold here, the gold hinges that were painted, slightly different hue, but they did kind of like the same thing here on the Siege. They also, painted the lines here on the arms and the shoulder cannon and the gun, not red, but looks like almost like a neon purple or whatever you want to call it there. So this one that's pretty much what they did here, right? They painted those, whereas if you notice here on the Netflix version, he kind of lacks those details. Other than that, you can pretty much see the similarities and differences there. So they'll pretty much look relatively the same. Here you can see the back, and here on a siege mold, here you have this little extra set of appendages hanging off the arm. They were used for the transformation here on the siege version, but they kind of just left them over on the the legacy and the Netflix version. Other than that, I want to say the colors are also a lot closer here on the siege version, a lot closer to the Netflix. So there you go. And of course, one of the main things is the siege version here has the yellow eyes. These two have red. I guess if you wanted to, you could swap the heads from this guy here, from the siege, into the legacy or the Netflix version here. But just want to point that out. I know some folks are looking for cartoon or toy accuracy. I guess you'd have to do a bit of a mix and match, but that's how the three of these look together. So moving on here with the comparisons, here is the Studio Series 86 blaster, which again is another retool of Kingdom, along with the legacy Soundwave there. And then if we move blaster here out of the way, we'll bring in Perceptor. And from what I hear, I think this guy may be getting reissued with a couple of cassette bots, so we'll see how that works out. This is the Studio Series 86 Perceptor. And just to give you guys a smaller look here at the cassette bots, here's Rewind and Eject. These are blasters. And next to the legacy, Rumble and Ravage. So you guys can see what these two look like together. If we move these two guys and bring in Steeljaw, that's what they look like together. We can move Rumble out of the way. You guys can see them there facing off. And then of course, we've got their Buzzsaw. So you can see the three of them there together. So next, continuing here with Soundwave, we have the Earthrise Starscream. Looking pretty cool there. I think they make a good match. We'll move Starscream out. We'll bring in an Insecticon. This is here Kickback. Looking pretty cool if I do say so myself. We'll move Kickback out. Bring in another Insecticon, Bombshell. Pretty nice looking there. And of course, Shrapnel. We'll move Shrapnel here out of the way. And then we'll bring in Gears. This is the, I believe, Legacy United Gears. That's what they look like together. We'll Gears out. Bring in, I believe this is also Legacy. This is Beachcomber. And lastly, the Studio Series 86 Bumblebee. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for me. Going to wrap this one up, but just want to show you guys there. Pretty much, I'm going to do a bit of a mix and match when I put this guy up on my shelf. I'll probably keep the Legacy as my main go-to for my shelves here. And I'll mix and match with, obviously, got to keep Buzzsaw, right? That's the main reason why I even got this guy. And add in the Netflix Laserbeak along with the Ravage that came with Netflix over here on the left. And obviously, got to keep the Studio 86 Rumble and Frenzy. For me, those are the two that I will keep in my collection. So let me know, do you guys think it's worth it? For me specifically, again, I'm a completist, so definitely had to have a Buzzsaw. Would have been nice if Hasbro would have just deemed it possible to maybe just give us like a cassette pack, you know, with all these guys rather than getting a whole new Soundwave. But on the other end, it's nice that folks who were unable to get the Netflix version here are now able to get, you know, a Soundwave, you know, that in most cases is a tad better because of the color. And also, if like me, your Netflix Soundwave may be discoloring or yellowing in certain areas, certainly this is a worthy replacement. But thank you so much if you made it to the end. If I missed anything, of course, feel free to leave a comment, you know. But otherwise, thank you so much, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.